Hello everyone, and welcome into episode 9 of Guildcraft. The first episode, well, almost the last episode before we get seriously into things that we're going to start doing. Bigger projects are on the way, so stay tuned for all of those as we continue working on our little base around spawn. So, of course, we have our guild, the Well Keepers, and since we were lucky enough to beat the dragon last episode, we now have an elytra. Only problem, this elytra doesn't have Unbreaking 3, and we don't have enough gunpowder to craft enough rockets to actually use it sustainably. So, I think this episode we can go ahead over to our industrial district and make ourselves a little bit of a creeper farm. But we're not going to get started quite yet. First of all, I have a bit to recap from the season so far. So we do in fact have confirmation the Draconic and Yokai have split off from their original guilds, leaving the Well Keepers with only 3 members, and Triple Baka is down to just a duo. So we have ended up with a bit of a imbalance here, but at least we have another faction on the map. So until we get any new members, we are currently stuck at these numbers unless anybody changes. But in other news, a lot of robberies have been linked directly to Draconic and Yokai, which is very interesting, but we won't talk about it too much. And also, I do just want to note the fact that I have no clue where Draconic's base is, and I may explore for it later, but I have no real reason to see it now. But for the time being, let's go ahead look at the industrial district a little bit more in depth, because we want to go ahead and create the creeper farm somewhere where whenever we're running the other farms, the creeper farm can also be running. So we kind of want it on the peripherals of the area. So after the chickens won't let me breed up anymore, it's time to go ahead and look at our spoils from the chicken farm. That's a lot of feathers. We can put the infestation potions in the dispenser so we can use that chest as a materials chest as we start to go ahead and gather the materials we need for this creeper farm. And now we finally have all of the materials gathered here in the shulker box. I did decide to change it out for the chest over in the industrial district, as it was just a little more convenient to put all this stuff in. But now with all of the materials, we can get to work actually following the tutorial that I have found. Of course, if you know me from any of my previous videos, I do talk a lot about the fact that I don't like to follow tutorials. I like to do things myself, do things independently. And for a creeper farm, I would also typically do the same thing, but this is, as I've stated before in this series, one of my first times playing Java. Well, not the first time, it is one of my first times. So, I'm going to follow tutorials because I'm not 100% on how the spawning mechanics work, how quasi-connectivity works yet, but once I figure that all out, trust me, I will be going back to building everything right out of my mind. But for now, it's time to gather all the materials. As you can see, these materials are a little suspicious. Some of them look more aesthetic than actual redstone, but who am I to doubt the tutorial? So, time to go ahead over to the industrial district and get started on building this farm. So now we have the farm marked out, and while it may be just a little bit closer to the main industrial district than it needs to be, it's fine. So it's time to go ahead, start digging out, start building up, and start creating this gunpowder farm. Let's go. Alright, and now with our AFK platform built and our entire farm done, we can see it from all the way up here. And it should be running. We, of course, have the, what I like to call, bow tie gunpowder farm. Now, this is a design I have built in a hardcore world previously, which I was planning on turning into a video here, but it never came to fruition. But here we have it. It is now completely done. And I just want to say, before we go down and check the rates of this thing, that was one of the worst tutorials I had to follow. The material list was partially cosmetic, as I correctly assumed before I started building, and it also just completely forgot to mention the kill system and the collection system for the creepers. But luckily we were able to get it done nonetheless, and we are producing gunpowder now, so we can finally get rockets and use our elytra, which, remember, still does not have Unbreaking 3 on it. So that's, of course, going to be the next step, going and using the armadillo farm to enchant a bunch of books, so we can eventually enchant either Unbreaking 3 or any combination of Unbreaking books that will eventually get us to Unbreaking 3. But for the time being, I'm gonna go ahead and sit here, AFK the gunpowder farm a little bit, and let's see how much gunpowder this thing actually gets us. So now coming down from our platform with a nice pearl clutch there, we can go ahead down the staircase that I made and actually check how much this thing produces in around about 15 minutes. So, go ahead. I remember, oh, that's nice. It's not the biggest amount, but it'll at least get us a stack of rockets to start out with. A little over a stack, actually. So, we can go ahead out of here, and we no longer have to worry about the 2 rockets we have. But I think I'm going to AFK just a little more, because I need a little gunpowder for something else. Alright, back after about 2 hours of AFK. Let's see how much we got. 2 in that chest. 4. Huh. That's not that many. Well, that's probably fine. We don't really need that much gunpowder right now anyway. So, it is time to go ahead and tackle the next part of this mission. See, with our elytra now, with as many rockets as our heart desires, we need a decent amount of durability to get around to. So then we won't have to worry about anything with our transportation setup, as we'll probably be naturally getting enough XP to repair it with mending, so long as it has Unbreaking 3 on it. So that is the next order of business. So we need to go fly out, get some emeralds, get some clay, 4 emeralds, so we can go ahead and try to trade with some villagers for some of this XP that we're going to need to enchant books. Sure, we could also deal with librarians for the Unbreaking 3 books, but we have free range villagers at the Wellkeeper's base, so it's a little bit harder to deal with them, and a little bit harder to limit them and make them take the librarian job, especially with people like me and Ken TV having a bunch of job site blocks as part of our builds. So I think it's best if we just go ahead and enchant a lot of books. Luckily, we do have a librarian villager who will trade us bookshelves, which we can use to get the books, which is why we're getting all these emeralds. Also another reason. So it's time to go ahead, go back to our base for a second after we gather a bit more clay, start trading with the villagers, start getting XP from the armadillo farm, and eventually get Unbreaking 3 on our elytra. And now, after a lot of hard work and effort, we finally have Unbreaking 3 on our elytra, meaning we can go ahead and take our first flight around the server. which is a kind of nice victory lap we can just go ahead and take, see the whole world. Of course, we have the gunpowder farm there that we just built this episode. But while we're here, I just want to say a big thanks to everybody who's watched this series so far. With your help, we have reached the goal of 100 subscribers before September 4th, and it's only September 1st when this video goes live and whenever I am editing this video. So your support really means a ton, and I will be continuing to make videos such as this. But that's the next thing I really want to touch on, because while I will still be continuing to make videos on Guildcraft, the reason the deadline was set at September 4th is because that's when I start back up school. So episodes are going to start slowing down, as you might have seen. I've been doing almost a video every day, which is just an unsustainable pace even if this was a full-time job, especially because I am creating a lot bigger projects as the season starts to go on and as we get the foundational stuff set up. So in the coming episodes, we're going to see a lot bigger things. I will have a lot more time to do a lot more. So expect 2 episodes a week. I'm thinking every Monday and every Friday as an upload schedule, and I'll be scheduling videos, of course, so the timeline will be a little out of sync, but it provides me a great opportunity to take as much time as I need to make these videos really worth watching. So with that, I'm going to go ahead, explore around the server just a little bit more, and I thank you all for watching. This has been episode 9 of Guildcraft. Goodbye.